So the demo I want to showcase today is how to create this cute little project. It's another 12 by 12 piece of paper into like a cool thing project. So this time it's this fun little like pop-up card. So it's got a magnet closure on the center here, and then it sort of like explodes out like that. So fun, all out of just one little 12 by 12 piece of paper. So I will show you how in a couple of very simple, quick, easy folds, you can turn a 12 by 12 piece of paper into this cute little project. Some of you maybe already know it, some of you may not. I'm recording it, so you don't need to frantically write the measurements down. If you don't want to, you can go back and watch the replay at a later time if that works better for you. So again, apart from the decorative papers, obviously, that you add after the fact, all that you need to create this is a single sheet of 12 by 12 paper. So I've used white just because I like the way that this cardstock that we have at the store folds, but this would work with any 12 by 12 sheet of paper. It could be a pattern paper, solid, it doesn't matter. And then all you need is a score blade or a spoon and a trimmer, and you makeshift, because some of us are just resourceful because we're very forgetful. But I got a score blade brought to me by Casey, so I created this with a score blade in my trimmer. So I took my 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and the very first thing you do from each edge is measure in 3 inches and then score. Turn your paper, measure in 3 inches and score. Turn your paper, measure in 3 inches and score. One more time. Measure in 3 inches and score. So that will leave you with a sheet of 12 by 12 paper that has 4 score lines along each edge, 3 inches in from the outside. Once you have done that, you can, I'll put it in really close, you maybe can't see, but with a pen, I just drew a little itty bitty little dot on the corner, on the edge, that marked 6 inches. So I needed to know where 6 inches was on all 4 sides. So I took each edge of paper, measured in 6 inches, and drew just a little tick, and that is just for visual reference for some score lines. So once you have drawn that little 6-inch tick, you are going to turn your paper onto an angle, and you're going to score from the 6-inch to the 6-inch all the way across. Same thing this direction, from the 6-inch to the 6-inch across. 2 more times, you'll do it there and there. Once you've done that, there's only one more score to do, and that is at the 3 inches. So you'll be able to, you don't have to measure 3 inches because you already have those 2 score lines from from scoring at 3 inches around your whole sheet of paper. So you already have those measurements there. So you don't need to draw little pen ticks. You're just gonna go from where your score line meets the edge of your paper to where your score line meets the edge of the paper and score at an angle across those 2. And then you'll do that for this one. So when you are done, you're going to have a piece of paper that has 4 straight score lines that are parallel with the outside edges. And then you're going to have 8 score lines that are at an angle, 2 on each corner, at 3 inches and 6 inches into your page. Once you have that, that's all the really difficult thing that you need to do. The rest is just folding. So once you have all of those score lines, you've scored all 12 of those score lines, then you're just gonna lay your paper flat and fold each score line. I start with the 4 parallel ones that run the same direction as the edge of your page. So I've just taken each one and folded it in. Once I've done that, I'm gonna lay it back down and fold the 8 angled score lines. And I'll pick it up in a second so you can see what I'm talking about. So now you can see I've creased, I've folded all of these angled score lines. Okay, all of these folds are the same direction. I folded the same direction for all of my score lines so far. Once I've done that, I'm going to take my angled ones. I want them to be a little bit more flexible because they're how we create this sort of like collapsed concept. So they need to be a more flexible fold, a little less rigid. So I've folded, as of right now, I've folded everything up. Now I'm going to take these angled score lines and I'm going to fold them back the opposite direction. So these ones I've now folded both directions. The second time being the opposite direction of the original fold. So all of them folded up, and then once you folded all 12 score lines up, you're going to fold the angled score lines back. So this is the top of my project, and I've now folded all the angled ones back. Once I've done that, I have my page. I'm going to pick one edge. It doesn't matter which of the 4 edges you pick. You're going to pick one and sort of grab it at the 6-inch point and fold it in, and you'll just sort of watch already. You can kind of see what's happening, but you just kind of fold that one in. Then you're going to take the next one beside it and fold it in, and you might have to guide these score lines a little bit if they're not cooperating. You can just go ahead and stick your finger wherever it needs to go to sort of help it fold, and it just collapses on itself. Then I'm going to go around to the very next one, and it just folds in on itself. Then the one last one, this is the trickiest one because you've got to convince 2 little corners to do what you want at the same time, but it does just kind of fold on itself like that. So I'm just going to put it down. You can't see me, but all I'm doing is just sort of pushing down these fold marks so that they're a little bit more happy with me. All right, so once I've done that, the only other fold left to do is to take these little pieces and fold them back. There's 4 little triangles. You just fold them all back. It's very awkward to do up. It's easier when you're down on the table. That's all the folds. So once you've done that, you're going to want to lay it down and go over all your folds. Now that you've convinced it how it wants to live, you're going to set it down and really push down on each of those fold lines so that it's a little happier in this new state of being. So it's not quite so rigid and fighting against everything that you're trying to do. And then if you want to apply pattern papers to it, these triangles, I cut squares that were 2 3/4 of an inch by 2 3/4 of an inch, and then just cut them in half on an angle. So all of these little squares are 2 3/4 of an inch by 2 3/4 of an inch, and then just cut in half. This large square in the middle is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And then if you wanted to, I ran out of time, but if you wanted to put pattern paper in here as well, you would cut it the same size as this, 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and then just cut it in half and in half. And that would give you for these 4. Does that make sense to everybody? And then the only thing left at that point to do is if you wanted to have a magnet closure, there's a lot of cardstock, a lot of thick folds, so it required quite a bit. There's one magnet in here, I just taped it down to the base of the card, you can't see it, like it's under the pattern paper, right in the center, and then I glued the paper over top. But if you look, there's actually like a few magnets. It took, I think, 4 magnets to get it to stick down. So I glued one magnet in between 2 pieces of paper just to hide my work so that it looks pretty. So one magnet in between the 2 circles of paper. And then I stuck, this is just like a sticker from the line of paper that I used. So I just took a foam sticker and I stuck a magnet to the back of that, and then stuck the sticker down on a piece of paper to hold the magnet in place, and then just cut around so that the magnet was stuck in place. And then I just put a few extra magnets on the back because it needed a bit more strength to hold this mamma jamma down. And then all I do is collapse and stick, and just like that, you have a super cute little pop-up project. Does anybody have any questions?